Our next presentation is Keeping Up with the Standards Lab, presented by Louise Sorensen of the California Air Resources Board.
Welcome to Keeping Up with the Standards Laboratory News Channel. My name is Louise Sorensen. I work in the Standards Laboratory as a staff air pollution specialist, and today I'm coming to you live from within the laboratory. We have exciting developments to share with our viewers. Let's take a look at some milestones since the last PQAO training in 2019. As you can see on the timeline, we've been quite busy over the last 2 years. First, let me give a quick summary of the Standards Laboratory history and objectives for our new viewers. The laboratory itself was established in the 80s and has been operating for over 30 years now. In working through the EPA technical system audit process, we have really honed in on what services and information we are providing to the PQAO and importance of that information. We perform over 800 verifications of air monitoring equipment every year. We also provide ozone photometer verifications to the western states pictured here on behalf of the US EPA. To provide a perspective of how we fit in the overall PQAO scheme, here are the 5 common factors of a PQAO. The Standards Laboratory serves the Common Calibration Facility and Standards Factor. Our 2 main objectives are to provide certifications and to maintain high quality data. As a centralized support function to the PQAO, our responsibilities include establishing traceability to national standards, as well as ensuring compliance with CFR, US EPA, and CARB regulations. Data quality is key to our mission. Of all the various components that contribute to data quality, traceability is perhaps one of the most complex. We would encourage you to think of traceability as a chain of unbroken links, as represented here. On the far left, you have the international and national standards. If you follow the chain to the right, you'll find the measurand, or for us, the air quality data collected in the field. In the center of this traceability chain, you'll find the Standards Laboratory, linking the data collection process and the data integrity to ensure traceability. Our goal is to become the gold standard of common calibration facility and standards within our PQAO. To fully achieve that goal, we need to continue improvements to our infrastructure. Resources, attention to things like procurement process, maintaining excessive documentation, laboratory facility, and reference standards all have the potential to divert our focus and introduce risk into the traceability scheme, which could ultimately lead to less defensible or even invalid data collection in the field. These are the various tests we perform in the laboratory. To support ambient air monitoring of criteria pollutants, we certify devices like flow rate transfer standards, photometers, and gas standards. We also certify metrological monitoring equipment, both to support criteria pollutant monitoring, but also to ensure that monitoring organizations who do operate metrological monitoring programs can be traceable and can meet their measurement quality objectives. Here you see an outline of our certification procedure, where the outcome is either a pass or a fail. When equipment fails, a corrective action is initiated by the Standards Laboratory. The Quality Management section investigates to help determine whether the quality of any data was impacted and to determine a course of action when needed. Now let's dive into our timeline, starting with us becoming a new section within the Quality Management branch, which is our top story today. It was a windy, rainy November day when 5 staff members was informed of their new adventures within the Monitoring and Laboratory Division. December 1st, 2019, the Standards Laboratory section was formed. It was to be independent from the quality assurance section. Here's the original Standards Laboratory section team. The last few months, there's been a shift in staffing. Ashley has moved back to the quality assurance section to resume her duties as an auditor, and our Standards Laboratory section team has expanded to include 2 new staff members, Tiffany and Frank. A few months after becoming a section, and with just a few months of new staff training, the pandemic hit. The Standards Laboratory was deemed essential, and we had to figure out how to train while being 6 feet apart and no more than 2 people in the laboratory at a time. Not an easy task, but we prevailed. New procedures had to be developed to streamline our procedures to be in compliance with the pandemic mandates, but also to ensure efficiency within the laboratory. That brings us to our next story in our newscast today. We like the changes and they are here to stay. By scheduling equipment, we're able to decrease our turnaround time, coordinate staff lab schedules, and maintain better chain of custody of clients' equipment. As a client of the Standards Laboratory, you may ask, who do I contact to coordinate my equipment visit to the laboratory? Most of you are thinking, well, you, Louise. However, we have breaking news coming in right now. There's a person of interest, a new person of interest. Francisco Silvas is wanted for certification services. Francisco has assumed the responsibilities for client relations, and we wish him success in his new task. When in contact with Francisco, please be prepared to provide this information, as it will help him better schedule your equipment and decrease your turnaround time. What is next for the Standards Laboratory? Well, we are currently developing a LIMS system, which stands for Laboratory Information Management System. Let's take a closer look. We are expecting to go live in December of 2021 with the first phase of the system. It is an amazing system. For example, it will store our data securely in the cloud. We can perform verifications per SOP step by step and generate documents with sign-offs along the certification process. Here's a closer look at our infrastructure. Our goal is to streamline our process. By using guided workflow, scan equipment, import data electronically, as well as review results electronically for quality control and efficiency. Another goal is to update documents and criteria. This is done by improving alignments with requirements, better representation of equations, and reporting environmental conditions. Additionally, we are improving our data security. And we do this by controlling access to data and historic records of all activities related to the certification and infrastructure in the laboratory. Finally, we'll be improving our communication with clients via automated emails. The highlighted locations here, you see here, are locations where emails will be sent to customers at major steps along the verification process. That is just a quick overview of Phase 1. Here's a look at implementation Phase 2, 3, and 4, where we'll focus on preventive maintenance testing on reference standards, customer login to request service, retrieve certifications, and update their contact information. That is all I have for you this time. Again, my name is Louise Sorensen. Thank you for tuning in to Keeping Up with the Standards Laboratory News Channel. Certification that counts from people who care.
Great. Thank you, Louise, for that news report. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and please put those in the Q&A chat.
That's good. That means I covered everything.
All right, I see your question. What kind of corrective actions are there related to standard certifications?
What kind of corrective actions are related to standards certifications? So the certifications that we perform for the customer or for our in-house reference standards if they don't pass. I can speak, let me just elaborate on customers' equipment. So anything within CARB PQAO and within CARB itself receive a corrective action notification per the corrective action notification system that is used also by the audit team. And that is emailed out to the supervisor and the person who turned in the equipment, as well as the quality management section team. And that's where I get hands off, and then they take look into the corrective action. I am not aware if it has on the customer basis. It has not on internal cans within the standards laboratory.
And you're answering Han's
question?
question?
Sorry, I was just reading the next question.
Oh, no, it's okay. So the question was, has a corrective action issued by the standards lab led to the invalidation of ambient data? And you're saying not that you're aware of.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be hands off after I write the corrective action notification for customers. Thank you, Han.
Thanks, Han. Any future changes in staffing at the lab?
Not at this time. We just hired Tiffany and Frank into the laboratory, and they're going through training. So we have a good solid team at the moment. So probably not for a while.
Congrats on the recent promotion. What will be your role in the standards lab from here on out?
I'll be, it'll be more as a quality assurance officer based role where I will be doing more of the oversight on I'll do my own little internal audits of the standards laboratory and taking on some projects, some other projects that's related to the monitoring, to our quality management branch. So, but I'm still reporting to the standards laboratory section manager, and will participate and step in as needed.
Great, thanks. Do you have an ETA on the gas cylinder certifications?
You want to talk about that? Okay, sorry. So we are going to be operating it as a tier 1. We are going to set it up to be able to do EPA protocol gas certification program, not verification. So once we have we have ordered quite a few new pieces of equipment because it needed updating. We also need a few more reference standards that we're waiting for so soon, but probably not until springtime in 2022 at this point. I don't want to certify or have the team certify anything that's not 100% where it needs to be.
Okay. We have been asked to rotate bench primary standards when shipping to CARB. How are agencies coordinating their standards for certifications?
So other customers of the standards laboratory tend to have 2, and so if you're talking about level So it's a bench standard. So there's a level 2. So they'll send one in. We'll see one of their instruments. We'll see on an annual basis, but every 6 months, if that makes sense. So that way they always have one in rotation that's valid.
And are there certain manufacturers' ozone transfer standards that you find are more reliable than others?
Am I allowed to answer that? Can I do preferences? I find Teledyne to be very responsive if I have a technical question. I don't find Thermo to be very responsive. Sabio has been responsive to us and worked with us with NIST so we could digitally get data off the instrument and get away from hand entry on Sabio, so that's great. And that's specifically the Sutron that we've been working with them. So I would say Teledyne and Sabio for that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, Yan. Teledyne API does not sell a T400 prepared as a level 2 standard from the factory. They suggest a T703 or T700. How has the T703 performed compared to the T400 in your experience?
So I was able to purchase a T400 level 2 with the additional reference error port in the back with no scrubber in the instrument, and received it here in the spring. So I'm not sure if it's just you have to call them and just specify specifically, or if they just stopped doing that after I received it. But certifying T400s and T703s, T700s, it's just what we do. We isolate the photometer in the T703. So it performs fine in the laboratory for certifications, the same with the T400 and 700. So, but we don't, we isolate specifically the photometer.
Please explain the difference between verification and certification. Thank you.
Okay, so for us in the laboratory, we call it verifications, which is a comparison between a reference standard and the device under test, which can be a working standard, a candidate, what you may call it. And a certification is just, we provide a certificate. We don't actually use certification in the laboratory. We try to go with the VIN vocabulary in the standards laboratory, which may not align 100% with what the handbook's definitions are for verification and certification. So don't compare my terminology to theirs, please. So I hope that answered the question.
Will your forms be updated with the new limbs, and do you know when that will happen?
Yeah, so after this week, we actually, tomorrow, we're getting all our data migrated over to a new system. So fingers crossed that when we come in on Monday morning, it's going to go well. And we're going to start with the low flow, the flow station, verification station. So we're going to be running, I'm going to be training staff, and we're going to be running in parallel on that system. And we will be introducing the new certificate with that. So, but you'll still see the old one until everything is validated and verified.
Okay. Well, how about shipping concerns? Have you had issues with shipping problems or damages to instruments?
We actually had the last couple of months, we actually had quite a bit of issues. Our SLP came back twice damaged and was sent back for it has to be certified and fixed by on the East Coast by the EPA headquarters over there, who does our certifications. And I had 2 customer equipments come in. Actually, all of them used FedEx, and there was damage within the instrument. There's an instrument inside a Pelican case. It was very good in there, very secure, and the pump and sub-pump gotten loose and it caused a lot of damage inside the instrument. So make sure you secure your pump on the bottom of the instrument with your shipping screws before you ship it. But that's not the only damage I've seen. It's been really bad lately, and equipment has been taking extra long to get here, even though the customers have requested, 2-day or 1-day delivery. So we had some problems.
We can take this last question before we go on break. Will the reports coming from the lab change in any significant manner, and what should we expect to see different?
They will actually be quite different. What we're doing is we are making them up to par with ISO 17025 requirements, and a little bit extra information. It's going to be completely different. And if you're interested in having input on what they look like, I can definitely, Orlando, I can send you an example and you can give me some feedback if you're interested. But they'll be easier to follow, and you'll be definitely able to see pass fail very easily. If you don't care about the data information, you can just request just a certificate, or you can request full report where you also get the data summary and everything. So, and we'll send that out in a newsletter, so you won't be surprised.
Great, thank you. Thank you everyone for your questions. We are now on break. Our next session will begin at 11:10, and that will be the Q&A session, for just a general Q&A session for the entire training. And we look forward to seeing you there. About 13 minutes. Thank you.